So about a month ago, I got a call from my friend, Katie Nelson. I've talked about Katie so many times on the podcast, and she's been on the podcast, my accountability partner, my good friend, and my guardian angel. And she sends me this text. Now, it wasn't a call, it was a text. And she said, you need to interview Paige Buscema on your podcast. And I thought, what a great idea. I was in as soon as she said Paige's name. But as I do with everybody, if you're going to send me a client, if you're going to refer me a client or refer me someone on the podcast, I need to know why. I know Paige was going to be a good guest, but I need to know why you think they're going to be a good client for me, why you think I can help them, why you think they're amazing, or why you think they're going to be great on the podcast. So Katie sends me this voice text and it says, Paige is one of those people in the community who everyone asks, how do you do it all? And when I think of the concept of mastering overwhelm, it's easy for people to assume your tagline is how to do it all. And you and I and Paige all know that that's not the case. So that's really kind of a cool way to think about this, because I know Paige as someone who is, just a pillar of the community, a busy person, an effective person. You can tell by her LinkedIn, she's president and owner of Eyetopia. If you're watching the video, my cool new blue glasses came from Eyetopia, and Paige spent so much time getting me over the trauma of having to wear glasses again. Her motto is, I help clients of all ages, stages, and abilities step into their full confidence with eyewear that helps them tell their own unique story with just one look. What lasting impression are you leaving in your wake? I just love that. But here's the other thing. She was a board member of Visit Loudoun. So we live in Loudoun County, which is a very affluent part of the world, growing quite fast. She was part of the Economic Development Commission, the Chamber of Commerce. Right now, she's the director of the George C. Marshall International Center, which is really cool. She's a trustee of the Margaret Paxton Memorial Trust. So Paige, how do you do it all? Oh my God. Thanks for being here, by the way.
Thank you very much for having me. It's my true and humbled honor to be here. And what I tell everybody every time those words come out is, I don't do it all, right? It's not possible to do it all. But what I do is get up every morning and prepare myself and do what I can, right? If I stay focused and I'm willing to just step into my full ability, there's a lot I can do in a day.
Yeah. So you have a family?
I do. I have two girls, teenagers now, 13 and 15, and I have a husband, and we live here in Leesburg.
Yeah, I raised two boys, and I would love to have two girls later in life. I would love to have some 20-something-year-old daughters, 30-year-old something-year-old. I wouldn't want teenage daughters. I'd be just wrapped around their finger and it wouldn't work. But you have a family, you have a thriving business. You're very involved in the community, right? Which people wonder, yes, how do I find time to be involved in the community? How do I find time for charity work and all that stuff? So I'm curious, is one of your early motivations, or are you still afflicted with a people pleaser, like all things to all people kind of thing?
There's no question. I definitely grew up a people pleaser, right? Anybody that knew me as a young child, I was very introverted and afraid of anything new. I didn't want to be the center of attention. I just wanted to get by, right? And even in my school life, I just wanted to fly under the radar. But in reality, and starting my own business and realizing as I came into adulthood that there's just so much need in the world. And if you just fill one gap, right, you're doing your part. So I just went out to start filling gaps, and it just snowballed.
I've never heard it said that way, right? Find some place where there's a need, right? It's not about you, and it's just like, there's a need. I'll go do that thing and make my difference in my little part of the world. Let's go back to, though. So, you're an optician, and you're making glasses, and you decided to open your own business. What pushed an introverted girl to go open her own business when she's, has a family and other responsibilities?
I love to tell this story. So behind every real action in my life has been somebody who said to me, I know you can do that, right? And so it's so important to me to pay that forward and tell other people, I see greatness in you. And I say it all the time to people that I really see greatness on. And I really want, it's part of how I fill my cup to help other people meet that full potential, right? I see you, Mark, and I see what you're doing, and I see how you're helping others, and that it fills you up. You're excited to be there for people and do that and do what you do. And it's no different for me when I made that transition from being terrified to, I was trying to take classes and learn everything I could. And would I be enough? Would I know enough? Am I smart enough? And my friend and mentor, who was my fellow optician at the time, said to me, Paige, I just know you're going to do this. I know you're going to own your own business and you're going to do this. And I thought, well, darn, now I can't disappoint her.
Sometimes people pleasing is really good.
That's really good. So I don't know, that just changed my life because she said that. And I thought, yeah, okay, I'm going to do this because she believes I can. And that's all it took.
So that there's a little tiny gap in there that I'm so curious about, because almost everything I've done in my life, I've done because other people believed that I could. I've never had a lot of self-esteem. I've never had a lot of, confidence in myself and my abilities and all those things. It's always been other people that said, Mark, you could go do this. You could go do that. You're capable of this. From when I was a kid, my mother used to say, you're going to be the first Jewish president, right? So I was encouraged that way without backing it up. Right. So I never believed people's press. And then when I started to actually believe, I remember the first person who said this, my friend Rosa, she said, who do you want to be right? Your ego or me? Right. I see greatness in you. Do you want me to be right or do you want you to be right? And I use that as a mantra of my whole life of making other people right. And even stepping into coaching. It's like, I never believed I could do something like this and be successful at it. Right. Those gremlins are always there, but other people tell me I am good at this. Right. And then over the years, the evidence shows up. How did you actually decide to not believe your internal gremlins and believe your friend?
Sure. So one of the real things in life is when you're making hard choices, when it's something that's a little bit scary, sometimes those are the best choices, right? You're pushing your boundaries of what you're willing to accept. And starting a business for me, I really felt like, I'm not sure I know how to do that. I'm not going to wear those hats entirely well. But what I knew was I know how to be an optician. I know how to serve people. I know how to be a person of integrity. I can do those things. Those are the things I can do. So I made myself that list of can do. And I realized I am never going to wake up one day and go, okay, I know enough. I think I can go start a business. I just needed to take the action, right? The pain of not choosing to do that was going to outweigh the pain of trying to learn. Right? Learning as I go. And it was her words saying to me, I know you're going to do this. She literally said it that way. Not, I know you can, but I know you're going to do this. That I thought, hell yeah, I'm going to go do that. And I'm going to just figure it out.
So when you went to go out, when you went to go show up places, you show up to start your business, or you show up at one of the boards that you decide to join and fill a gap, and you're scared inside.
All the time.
What did you draw upon to actually get over that fear or walk through that fear?
Well, that's a fine question. So I was an Army brat growing up, grew up in a family of team spirit. Everything we did was sort of as a group and as a team. And I had a father who was a good leader, and I saw that leadership in all of us, really. I mean, he had kind of given it all of us as a gift. He was just a wonderful man and really well respected. And I said to my dad one time, and I'm digressing, but there's a purpose, how do you do it all that? How do you know everything? How is it every question I ask you have an answer to? And he said, well, Paige, you don't have to know everything to know a little bit about a lot of things, and just draw on what you do know to start the conversation. And you will be surprised at how much you actually do know. And so for starting a business or calling on that lack of, trying to jump the hurdle of the lack of confidence, right? I always have to remember, I probably know just enough that I'm not going to fall so hard on my face it's going to hurt that bad. That's what I tell myself. Like there's a list every day of things I know I can do, and I'm just going to control the things I know I can do, and the things that I can't do or I'm not going to be really good at, I'll just muddle through and do the little bits that I can and do the best I can.
Nice.
So I don't know if I've answered the question, but I will say that starting anything is hard, right? And one of the things I always say is just be willing to take the first step.
It's so
For me,
interesting when I so I travel the country speaking, and I've probably spoken in front of an audience of anywhere from 10 to 5,000 people in, probably a couple hundred times, few hundred times. And I still, when I walk into a room and the room all turns their attention on me, I still lose my breath, right? I still get that fear. So I keep signing up for this. I have probably 24 speaking engagements through the end of the year. And every time I have fear, right?
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to fix it. I just prepare. I know what to do when speaking, like, you have to have your first couple of sentences just so crystal clear, right? So that you can walk through that. And I do it. And just before I start every workshop, I'm like, why do I do this to myself? And then at the end of the workshop, when everybody's made, huge stride, I'm like, oh, I know exactly why I do this, right? But it's so interesting, that there has to be something to pull you, either push you or pull you through the fear. And I think it's, from what I heard you say, do I really have this potential? Like, I want to live up to this potential. What if I don't make them right? What if I don't step out and do this? That fear of missing out on maybe I am like an entrepreneur and you turn out to be an entrepreneur. Very cool.
I think people often think can't more often than can. And part of what has helped me through the experience of being a business owner and having to have confidence to make choices, and you don't ever have the confidence, by the way, if you're me, you just make the choices and hope for the best is really what you do. And I think, knowing that nobody around you has the answers. Like one of the things I have learned in business is I will go to a class, a master class, and I will think, okay, I'm going to be the small fish in the big pond. I'm going to be so uncomfortable. I'm going to feel so tiny, but I'm going to learn something, and this is going to be so important to me. And I will go in and realize, like, those people don't know anything more than I do. Like, they're just still finding their way. The whole world is still just finding their way day to day. Like, okay, well, let's do what we can do. That's the magic, really, when you just realize all you can ever do in life is get up and focus on what your real potential is and what your real purpose is, and step into your purpose and do what you do really well and make yourself proud. Like, look in the mirror and be proud of what you did today. That's it. That's the stuff right there.
I saw a really great tweet yesterday that said, even your heroes don't know what they're doing and are making it up as they go along.
That's exactly right. I said to somebody not too long ago, I mentor young businesses and upcoming entrepreneurs and small businesses that might be struggling and come to me and ask me things like, how do you do it all? And I used, Tony Robbins as an example. I'm like, do you really think Tony Robbins just gets up and he's automatically on every day and he wants to go to work? No, everybody's normal, right? He gets up, he has days where he's like, what am I doing this for again? Where am I? I got to get my head in the right place. Right? He has rituals for a reason.
He has ironclad, like costs thousands and thousands of dollars rituals to turn him into right. Tony Robbins.
That's right. I mean, rituals, habits, what we put in is what we get out.
No question. What are your rituals?
So I have a love of words, as you might know, and I love to write. And in fact, I have a degree in creative writing from George Mason. And so I will write in my journal, and my journal is, it's an evolution. Sometimes it's just a big vomit of ideas that I want so that I can refine that down. Sometimes it's what I want my day to look like, and I write it as if it's already happened because somebody coached me to write that way, which in the beginning felt really not very authentic to write something already happened that didn't.
So writing what you want to happen in the present moment, right? Writing
As if it's already happened.
my day was amazing. I met the most incredible people. I served these clients. So I'm so
Yes.
grateful for this day before you even live it.
That's exactly right. And I think that's part of the programming ourselves. So in my little group of, I do accountability groups, and in my accountability group that I have online this week, the coach, what I said to them is, we're going to get up every single morning. And as soon as your eyes open, because I know you're going to want to close your eyes and roll over and not face your day, because I'm like that and I can't be the only one feeling like that. You're going to say the words out loud, I am ready. And then you're going to get right out of bed as you're saying, I am ready. And it's going to program you to be ready for your day automatically. And it's really amazing, Mark, if you've never done this exercise where you get up and you say something to yourself, specifically, I am ready. I find that's the most effective.
I wake up and think, is the coffee ready? But I can tweak it just a little bit.
I think you can. But it is amazing how it changes the momentum, not only for your morning, but your entire day, because now your brain has heard you say, I am ready. And by hearing your own words and your own voice, and you're processing that, it really does help program you to be ready for everything, anything, come what may, right? I am ready. You haven't had to be specific about it yet. And I always love that exercise year over year, and hearing how people have used it or how they thought it made their week change. And it's amazing the momentum you can build with something that simple, a little ritual like program yourself every morning.
It's interesting because you're already programmed. We're already programmed from the past, right? So we create ourselves every day. We can either create ourselves from the conditioning of the past, all the fears, all that other stuff, or we can consciously create who we want to be during the day. And that's what I hear you say you're doing.
Yeah. And sometimes your rituals get to you by rote, right? You have to trip yourself a little bit, change it. At least I do. I mean, that's the magic for me, is if I find myself getting to the plateau where everything feels easy and level and comfortable, I know it's time to take the next step, right? Because being uncomfortable is where you're growing, where you're meeting that potential.
I agree. So I love it. I meditate every day. But sometimes, like I change up my meditation. Sometimes it's zazen, sitting on a cushion, right? Being with, my breath and that kind of thing. Sometimes it's, I'll decide, I'm going to start listening to a guided meditation. Sometimes it's a writing thing. Because I change it up, and I give some freshness to the whole thing. So I like that suggestion.
Yeah, that is definitely a key. I tell my people, find your thinking chair. Right? It's like Blue's Clues, right? You need a good chair that's not so comfortable you want to go to sleep, right? Your feet have to be flat on the floor, just like in a meditation, right? Flat on the floor, barefoot, preferably. If you could be outside, that would be ideal, but indoors, flat on the floor, upright posture, alert, eyes looking forward, but not necessarily focusing with your eyes. You're focusing with you're focusing with your mental eye, right? The chakras are being turned on, and you're staring out at nothing, but you are funneling the energy of the day and all those ideas that are like thought bubbles popping constantly. And, by sitting in your space, that personal, comfortable, purposeful space that's designed for thinking, it allows me to kind of funnel all the ideas down into, okay, what's today going to be about? Okay, who needs me the most today, and who do I need to say no to? Because saying no is just as important to your well-being and your effectiveness as saying yes and stepping into something. It's been a hard lesson for me to learn, what can I take on and not lose, where I'm effective.
Brilliant. I just want to go back to the brilliant people who write my show notes. Don't forget to write about the thinking chair. That's so good.
Okay, but you have to give me credit for it.
Well, it's going to be on your page. You're going to have an entire page on my website, and it's going to be your brilliance. I love that, the thinking chair, because I talk about that. I coach a lot of like New York financial people, and like they're living their heads. They've got so much kinetic energy that they're bouncing while you're talking to them, and I give them the 1 minute meditation. And they're like, "What's the 1 minute meditation?" I said, "You sit in your chair with your coffee or your tea or whatever it is you drink in the morning. You keep your phone down. You don't talk to your spouse. You don't talk to your kids. You just stare out the window for 1 minute and breathe. That's it. That's where I start them." Right. So and that just made me think about the thinking chair. So where in your house is your thinking chair? I'm just totally going to steal that.
Yeah, yeah. It really does work. And it works for a lot of reasons. I'm sure reasons that I can't and don't need to articulate here, but the posture is important. The space being a space that you feel good in, that is creative enough to get your creative mind moving, and a sense of peace so that you can literally take all of the pieces of the puzzle and let them start to come together for you. I also find if you do a little brain dump after sitting in your thinking chair, and it doesn't have to be a long time. This is a 5-10 minute exercise at the most. But if you do that brain dump afterward on paper, where you just kind of funnel out what came, you'll be more organized in how you approach it all.
Do you do morning pages from, oh God, I'm forgetting her name, from The Artist's Way? So the morning pages is basically a brain dump. And it's 3 pages of just stream of consciousness. I do that actually before my meditation, which is really interesting. I do the brain dump before I do my meditation, then I sit with all that. So it's an interesting thing. Switch gears for a sec, because you said that you mentor young entrepreneurs. Of course, you're really disproving the thought that you don't do it all. But you mentioned, so you mentor young entrepreneurs. And a lot of people are leaving corporate world. They're leaving traditional jobs and they're starting businesses, right? This has been a time of real sea change. And I've had tons of people on the podcast now talking about, what does it take to go bet on yourself? What does it take to go create a business? What advice are you giving people when they want to start their own business?
The most valuable advice I can give anybody when they're starting a business is be realistic about what it takes to do this, right? Those people out there making things look easy, when it's Lake Placid on the surface, there is a lot of churning and burning going on under the surface. And it means that you're going to work really hard, harder than you've ever worked in your life. This is not about, hey, I work for myself, so it's easy street. Right? So get the stars out of your eyes first and foremost, because you've got to go into business with your mind in the right place. I'm willing to work for it. So many businesses open up and think they're just got this brilliant idea and they're just creative enough to buy a bunch of cool stuff, and people will just flood in their doors and buy it. And it doesn't work that way. And they're so disappointed when they realize they actually have to show up to work and be there all the time.
It's really
until they don't.
I love that you said, you build it and they'll come. We went to the Leesburg Public House last night for dinner. And it's in the middle of this dank parking lot by a, closed department store, the worst location ever. And the place is packed, right? So, I was thinking last night, what work did they do to create themselves to be such a spot? The food had to be good, the service had to be good, but what else did they do to get people to go to this really ridiculous place when downtown Leesburg is so lovely, to have dinner? And why did I drive over there instead of walk into town, right? So what happens when you open the business and they don't come? Right? What separates the wheat from the chaff? What makes a person who's going to make it and a person who's not going to make it when they do everything, when they seem to do everything right, and then the check's not there at the end of the month?
So you can do 90%, but if the 10% was really critical and you're missing that 10%, then your momentum's going to be at a standstill, right? For me, what I realized in opening my doors was I needed to be connected to others. The community is what is going to ultimately support your business. And if you don't get yourself outside your own front doors, get yourself out of your own need, get yourself out of your own head and go out and meet other people doing what you want to do, or walk down the street and introduce yourself to your fellow business leaders. Or it's not hard nowadays. We have social media, we have all this outreach that so makes it so simple, right? I used to have to lock my doors, close my shop literally, and put a sign saying, sorry, I'll be back in 10 minutes. And then walk down the street and go meet people and introduce myself and tell them, hey, I opened the shop down the road and here's what I do. But that's how my resume that you see got built, because people said, oh, hey, I know this girl. She just opened this business. She seems smart. Let's get her to do this. Let's get her to get involved in this. Let's get some fresh ideas in here. Or, hey, I saw that you were appointed to the Economic Development Commission, and we've got the board of visitors for Visit Loudon. Will you send us an application and apply? And I was like, well, yeah, okay, I'll do that.
See, even for eyeglasses, it takes building your community in order, especially because you do something unique, right? What you do is a commodity, right? I could have gone to Costco and gotten my glasses and all that. What I realized was I haven't worn glasses for 25 years since laser surgery. I'm very public and very visible. I'm terrified of wearing glasses, right? And I need progressives, which are ridiculous. I'm still tripping on myself, but I knew I needed to go see you. Like the community, like it was just so clear. Mark needs glasses. Where is he going to go? He's going to go see Paige, what was really breathtaking about what you did, because you've been doing this for a long time now. You didn't just throw a pair of expensive glasses at me, right? You knew when I walked in the building that I, like, every pair of glasses we put on at the beginning, I was like, I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. And you just were so kind to me, and it didn't take that long, right? But you just moved me and you had that intention. You stated the intention when I walked in, which was really cool. You said, I want you to be excited about wearing your glasses. And I was like, how's that ever going to happen? Right? It's just not going to happen. And by the time I walked out of there, I was like, when are my glasses coming? I can't wait for my glasses to come. I can't wait for people to see my glasses. As soon as I got my glasses, I did a video for social media with my glasses so people could see my new glasses. And that is, I think, the secret to your business. Like, you just put your passion in it. You serve your people. You created your community. And I think a lot of people miss that when they open a business, right? There's all the fundamentals, and then they miss build a community, serve your people, keep your passion. And I think that's that 10% on the other side.
That's exactly right. And, it's why big corporates use their corporate culture to help hone that understanding down through the ranks, right? Even a little business has to have a corporate culture and understanding who they are, what's their DNA, and how's everybody going to speak to that. Every action you produce, whether you're out grocery shopping and see somebody that knows you, or you're serving on a board or commission, you're representing the DNA of your brand, your business, who you are at the core, the whole company. And everybody needs a rallying point. So whether you are one person, or you are a team of 5, or you're a team of 50, you've got to have that sense of being involved in the community, understanding who you are and what gap you're filling, right? You started for a reason, and always keep that reason in the foreground, and you're not going to trip over yourself.
Oh, you just got idea bubbles that my A.D.D wants to go off on a tangent, but I'm going to stay right here with you. So my last question for you, by the way, this conversation for me was so substantive. I really appreciate it. When Paige and I were talking about this, I was worried about her being nervous. So I said, hey, do you want to have a conversation before we have the conversation? She's like, no, just turn on the mic. Let's see what happens. I was like, that is ballsy. And I really appreciate that. So this conversation didn't go the way I wanted to, but there's so much gold in here. The last question is, because I just feel it from you. If you could whisper a little something in everybody's ear that you meet, that would just, the one little secret that you know about life, what would you whisper to everybody that you meet and hope they get?
I know you can.
I know you can. Oh my God, that's so good. That's so precious. Thank you. I love that.
You're very welcome.
Do you know I can?
I know you can. I know you're going to be huge.
I believe you. Thank you so much. Paige, so where can people find you?
Well, I eat, sleep, and breathe Eyetopia to this day. You can find me at Eyetopia Inc., the Eyewear Vault in Leesburg on Loudon Street. Any day of the week, if you'd like, you can walk in and visit with me. You can find me online at eyetopiainc.com. You can email me at bseen@eyetopiainc.com, and I will respond.
Thank you. And that'll all be in the show notes. But also, your store is not just eyeglasses. It is a cornucopia of the coolest little things, from leather bracelets to crazy incredible chocolate. So it's just like a downtown store where you want to walk in, browse, and see some things. So I just love it. Paige, thank you for being who you are. Thank you for my new glasses, and thank you for being on the show.
Humbled. Thank you very much. Pleasure was all mine.
And by the way, I'm going to come see you in about an hour to get them tightened just a little bit so that they're perfect.
Okay. All right. I'll look forward to seeing you.
Thank you to everybody else. I just so appreciate your time and attention. Thank you for playing with us. I love you. Have a great rest of the day.